Perhaps you've had to deal with difficult family members, difficult friends, difficult coworkers, customers, clients. If you have to deal with any of that, then please watch this video and watch it till the end, because I'm going to go over some really useful tips of things that I've learned over the recent years that have greatly helped me in dealing with difficult people. So if you're interested in that, then stay tuned, because all that's coming up next. Good morning, YouTube. Thank you so much for checking in today. This is Rachel Stewart with Spend Smart, Live Happy. And today I want to talk about something that is really important to me. I have been a highly sensitive person my entire life. I can't even tell you how many times I got my feelings hurt, I cried, I blew situations up way bigger than they need to be blown up, strained relationships, or just overall felt crappy because I was really upset and didn't know how to deal with it. So over this last couple years, particularly in working in the industry and field that I have been working in, I have had to deal with difficult people all day, every day. I had to figure out how to get good at this, otherwise it would have just eaten me up and spit me out. I'm just too sensitive of a person. It's too difficult. So with that being said, I want to go through some things that I have learned along my journey, important tips or important points to consider, just kind of techniques or methods that I have used to help me have a thicker skin while maintaining my sensitive side, which I think is a beautiful thing, and just dealing with difficult people and situations. So let's get down to it. First thing I want to mention is just kind of understanding the situation, seeing it for what it is, and not making it out to be worse than it is. It's so easy when you have a bad day or you're dealing with someone difficult or you're in a difficult situation to like blow it up out of proportion. Then it can like seriously negatively impact the entire rest of your day. It's so easy to like make it way worse than it is and to kind of feed into that drama, have your feelings hurt, just start pointing fingers and blaming other people or situations for your own unhappiness. Seriously, just don't do that. You have actually a lot more power than you realize in handling these types of scenarios and not letting it impact you. When you are in this kind of difficult situation, let's say someone has come at you in a really aggressive manner and they're attacking you. It's difficult to do, don't get me wrong. It takes daily practice, but if you can like take a step back, like almost see it from a third-party perspective, like almost see yourself, viewing yourself talking to this person, and see it for what it is. I mean, think about like with a family member, maybe you've had a really charged up conversation. If I was there observing your argument with this person, I probably wouldn't have any major emotional reaction to it. I might feel like bad for you or bad for the other person, but I'm not going to be emotionally charged up because I don't have any emotional or connection tie there to the two of you and this difficult situation or these difficult feelings. So if you can kind of practice taking a step back and almost having this third-party objective and severing that emotional connection between you and that person, it really helps in allowing you to be more objective, less emotionally involved, being able to respond in a controlled manner rather than from an emotional place, which may have a tendency to be more irrational, less objective. So if you can also remember that when this person is coming at you this way, it actually has nothing to do with you. I know that might sound like common sense, but I would safely argue that most people don't actually comprehend that in the moment in a difficult situation. They make it very much about themselves. So if you can take that third-party perspective and see that person for who they are, for where they're at on their own emotional, spiritual journey, realize that it has nothing to do with you. Most likely in that moment, they are feeling out of control. They are feeling insecure. They are feeling like their ego, their competence, their intelligence, their experience is being challenged, you can see that for what it is and accept the fact that it has nothing to do with you, then it actually puts you in a powerful position and a humanitarian position to be able to even possibly help that person. Dealing with some of the clients or people that I've dealt with in my job, maybe some of the time it might be a man in his, let's say, 60s. He, maybe he was an attorney or somebody of a high level of education, high level of experience. And here it is, I come to the scene, 30-something-year-old young woman, and I'm saying, no, you can't do that, or, this is how it has to be. And that challenges their ego. And so maybe it will solicit kind of a negative reaction from them. Perhaps they begin to criticize me or speak to me in an abusive manner, and I have to realize that it actually has nothing to do with me. I'm just doing my job. I am actually doing them a service by doing my job. If I can see it for what it is and realize that for whatever reason I have challenged their ego, their intelligence, their competence, whatever, I can be in a position of authority to step back, not let it affect me, and maybe even help them. I have found that a majority of the time in a situation like this, these people want a number of things. First things first, they want to be heard. So let them be heard. Bite your tongue, take a step back, and let them get it out. Once they're done getting it out, if you can, kind of muster up the maturity and the strength, validate their feelings. It doesn't mean you have to agree with what they're saying, but you can validate it. Acknowledge that that is how they feel. And, perhaps even apologize, not for, something you've done if you don't feel like you've done anything wrong, but apologize on their behalf. I'm sorry that this situation has upset you, or I'm sorry that you feel, frustrated, or you feel XYZ. By doing that, you have validated their feelings. You are not challenging their feelings. You're just accepting and acknowledging that they feel the way that they feel. That doesn't mean that you're accepting responsibility. It doesn't mean you're apologizing for something you didn't do wrong. And then what I have also found is helpful is try to make a connection. Sometimes this can be really, really hard. If you feel like the person you're talking to is super ignorant or just really, really out of line, trying to connect with them can be very challenging. So you got to dig deep on this one. Find whatever you can. If there was even the smallest part of their toxicity that you can connect with, that you can acknowledge and agree with, then do that. Because once you've heard them, you've validated them, and then you connect with them and agree with them to any degree, a lot of times it diffuses the situation. Now, there's not a lot for them to work with, because also these people are a lot of times they're drama starters. They are very negative people in a very insecure, unhappy place. And so they're looking for that combat. They want that back and forth. And if you don't feed into it, they have nothing to work with. If you can see it for what it is and realize, okay, this person's feeling a little out of control, or this person's feeling challenged. Okay, how can I help ease these needs or insecurities in this person without necessarily, you don't want to lose your own self-respect or drop your boundaries. 100% of the time, you need to be true to yourself and keep those boundaries. And then that kind of leads into the next thing, is that perhaps you have somebody who just keeps coming at it over and over. They just don't stop. Then I have found sometimes call them out. And you want to do it in a super just respectful, very passive, kind of humble way. Somebody is just repeatedly attacking me. Then I might call them up, call them to my office, go over to their house, whatever it may be, and just say, hey, I'm sensing a lot of tension. I feel like perhaps you're upset with me about something. I really care and value, I care about this relationship and I really value it. Or, perhaps it's, I really want to further develop our business relationship. And I feel like in order for us to do that, it's going to be really important that we're on the same page and that we each feel comfortable to express how we feel and deal with, whatever issues there may be. And please know that at the end of the day, I just want to do a good job for you, or I just want to be, a good sister to you, or I just want to, be a good spouse, or whatever it may, depending on the relationship. If there's something you want to talk about, let's talk about it. And this doesn't work all the time, but I would say probably 8 or 9 out of 10 times that I have come to someone in a very humble, respectful place and just laid it out like that. Sometimes people don't realize that they're continuously attacking you. And also, it's a lot easier for them to be passive aggressive or just aggressive and not have to be an adult about it. When you come to them in that way, sometimes you'll kind of actually hear the aha moment in their voice. And I've had people who have abused me on a daily basis say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was speaking like that. That was not my intention." Perhaps maybe they do have some issues. And so then once again, it feeds into, once they can get it out, they feel like they've been heard, you validate those feelings, apologize to whatever degree you can apologize, connect with them, and then maybe provide a solution of, okay, I'll try to be more responsive in the future, or I'll try not to say those things around you in the future. Whatever solution you can come up with to try to meet this person's needs. The final point that I want to say is 100% of the time, you need to be true to yourself. You need to love yourself 100%. And I have found that in the past, when I got a lot of kind of negative feedback from mostly like family members and things like that, that I actually had a much larger role in that situation and my own unhappiness than I realized. So I had spent years just consistently having my feelings hurt by certain people, and I was just blaming everybody else. It was just pointing fingers, it's them, 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 them. Well, actually, no. I had a lot to do with that situation. And when I realized that I was feeling very criticized or judged by certain individuals, I realized that I was actually inviting that criticism. I would go to them and say what my plans were, what I was doing, these life changes. If that wasn't in line with their own personal philosophy of life, perhaps their spiritual beliefs or their just personal work ethic or whatever it may be, then I was inviting that criticism. You can't go to them for advice or open up to them, and then when they give back their personal opinion, it's actually unfair of you to be angry with them for doing exactly what you essentially asked them to do. You invited or solicited their opinion, and then you got your feelings hurt when they gave it. And so what I did was I stopped soliciting opinions. I just lived every day according to my own personal standards of who I want to be, what makes me happy, what makes me proud of myself, and then I owned it. And when I did that, when I respected myself and took ownership and pride in who I am and the choices that I'm making, everyone else followed suit. So, it's if someone completely owns who they are and the choices they're making, you may not like what they're doing. You may not necessarily want to choose those paths for your own life, but it's kind of hard for you to attack that person because they're just being them. Just like you just want to be you, just like I just want to be me. People see you as you see yourself. The kind of energy and self-image that you project is what people see. It's a big difference between going to someone and saying, I want to do this and this is what I'm doing and what do you think? And then if they don't agree and they love you and they want you to be happy, then they're going to give their opinion and they're going to say, blah, blah, blah. But if you pretty much are just saying, hey, I'm super excited, this is what I'm doing right now, and this is how much it's blessing my life and enhancing my life, a lot of the time people aren't going to challenge that because that's your own reality. Or if someone does just in an unsolicited manner share their opinion of what you're doing, don't take offense to it. Own it and say, wow, that's an interesting perspective. I could see where you might feel that way, but please know that this is what I'm doing right now and it is making me so happy, or this is how I really feel it's going to benefit my life and I can't wait to watch it unfold. And when you respond in that kind of positive manner and you take ownership of what you're doing, kind of nips it in the bud. There's not really a lot more that they can challenge because they can't tell you don't feel the way that you feel. So, along those lines as well is that when somebody says something that upsets you, that hurts your feelings, I would encourage you to put on your big girl panties or put on your big boy panties and really actually take that as an opportunity for personal growth. I have found that when someone takes offense or when I take offense, that what it actually means is that at some core subconscious level, you're connecting with that. It's resonating with you and it's hitting a nerve. So if somebody says something that hurts your feelings, I would be bold enough to argue that at some deep level, you agree with it. It doesn't mean that it's true, but maybe those are insecurities that you've had, or maybe they're challenging your ego or your own self-identity. And I would say, dig into that. Be like, why did that hurt my feelings? Does that resonate at all with my personal identity? And if it does, then I need to say, is that true? Am I really stupid, or am I really this or that? And if I say no, then that gives me an opportunity to further my love for myself and maybe do some personal work. There's a lot of things you can do. You can work with hypnotherapists or counselors or different people that might be able to help you kind of dive deep into your psyche and find out if you have some repressed feelings. Maybe you dealt with some trauma in your youth, things that have been unresolved but really repressed. So deal with that. Or if it is something that you feel there's some validity to it, and you don't want to be that person, or you don't like that image that you're projecting, then find some ways that you can change that. So, check out my last video where I talk about habit change and, becoming a new you, and get some tips of how you can change any bad habits, how you can better connect with yourself and the person that you want to be. That concludes this video today, and what I wanted to share with you about dealing with difficult people. I'm a really sensitive person. I want to help people. I mean, you can see in this channel, like, my main purpose in life is just to help other people love themselves, find joy, fulfill their true purpose, and resonate with their authentic self. I'm a really sensitive person. But that doesn't mean that I have to absorb people's negativity, their toxicity, and have it make me feel any certain way about myself. So, I challenge you to try some of these techniques or keep some of these things into perspective. I would love it if you could help me share this message. If you feel like there's value in this content, share it with a friend, share it with a loved one, someone that you maybe know of, they're dealing with a difficult situation or difficult people in their life. Help me share this message and spread the word and just make this a more loving, positive planet. If you're new to this channel and you like what you've heard, please subscribe. Stay tuned for lots of other great content. It's free and available for all. Please, I really encourage you all to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're doing. If you try some of these techniques and it helps improve your relationships or improve your emotional well-being at work or whatever, I would love to hear that. I would be so tickled to know that I've helped even one person in sharing this message. Thanks so much for checking in, guys. As usual, be your awesome selves. I hope to see you again soon, and I'll catch you next time.